Hello, and hello again. You are welcome to this channel where we talk about life, issues of life, creating awareness, we talk about health, career, and everything in between. Thank you for making time out of no time to be with us today. At the moment, we are talking about domestic violence. How has it affected us? How has it affected our neighbors? How has it affected our friends and families and even people we did not know? We know the issue with what happened of recent on Osinachi's case where she died because of domestic violence. Now we did is what we're talking about today. So we did a video days ago about why people remain in a toxic relationship. And today we are giving it a new spin, and that is what next. Yes, we've talked about Osinachi and how the husband was allegedly found maybe guilty, or had a lot to do with her death. We've heard stories about other people coming out to say, yes, I faced it as well. But the question is, what next? And that is what we are here to do today. I have some guests. I have some guests that would need to be with me here on the show, but I am waiting for them to come on. And once they come on, I will bring them up for you. But before we go further, the question is, what next? We don't just want to hear about stories of, oh, people have been through it, oh, this has happened to them. The question is, what do we do about it? What are we going to do as humans about it? Give them an opportunity to live their lives rather than remaining and enduring a toxic relationship. So I will go further to show you a clip, and that clip would actually set the scene for today. I will bring it on the screen now. This is something I saw and I thought it was necessary to be done. 1 minute. I've got someone calling. I'm trying to, for someone calling, I will take up your call later. I am on a live stream. Okay, yes, it is this one here. 1 minute, I will bring the video. So I'm sure most of us would have seen this at some point flying around, and it actually makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. So I will go over to, it's a channel called Miss Matured, and it's really a sensible video. 1 minute, let me bring it up for you so you can see it and hear it. Okay. Okay. All right. So here is the sound. And that is just to show us, what happens in families. Okay, there we go.
अंदर जाके खेलो।
और शादी के बाद क्या करोगे?
मैं पापा जैसे सुबह उठूंगा और रेडी होऊंगा।
और फिर?
मन्ना मुझे बैग देगी और मैं ऑफिस जाऊंगा। ऑफिस में बहुत सारा पेपर साइन करूंगा और बहुत पैसा मिलेगा।
घर आके तुम क्या करोगे?
फिर मैं उसे मारूंगा। फिर मैं आराम से दरवाजा बंद करूंगा और सो जाऊंगा। नो, सोने से पहले मैं खाना लाऊंगी और आप शो करके प्लेट फेंक देंगे। ओके। पापा, आई एम गेटिंग मैरिड।
ये सब क्या है?
मैं और मन्ना शादी कर रहे हैं।
आदित्य, अंदर जाके खेलो।
और शादी के बाद क्या करोगे?
मैं पापा जैसे सुबह उठूंगा और रेडी होऊंगा।
और फिर?
मन्ना मुझे बैग देगी और मैं ऑफिस जाऊंगा। ऑफिस में बहुत सारा पेपर साइन करूंगा और बहुत पैसा मिलेगा।
घर आके तुम क्या करोगे?
फिर मैं उसे मारूंगा। फिर मैं आराम से दरवाजा बंद करूंगा और सो जाऊंगा। नो नो, सोने से पहले मैं खाना लाऊंगी और आप शो करके प्लेट फेंक देंगे। ओके।
Okay, we see that. So that was just a clip that is going on. You know, it's a clip showing. Thank you very much. You're welcome, PB. You're welcome, Auntie Mo. Thank you very much for making it here. So you're welcome, viewers. You're welcome, those who are going to be joining us as we continue the live stream. And the question we were asking is, what do we do? How do we empower? The last video with T, she suggested saying, how do you empower people who have taken that step? She said, how to survive after taking the leap. And I thought, she said, oh, let's do a second video on that. And I'm glad that she suggested that we need to actually empower people with information they need to go on with their lives without being constrained to that environment, limited in their own understanding of what they need to do. So we need to be proactive. Thank you very much, Auntie Mo and PB, for joining. You are welcome. Now, before we go, before we start, I want to ask, what is domestic violence, or what is a toxic relationship in your own definition? I know it was said in the last video, but for the sake of those who are just joining us the first time today, can you please explain what exactly is a toxic relationship? What is and what is a toxic relationship and a domestic violent environment in your own words? Auntie PB, can you please explain? You're welcome.
Thank you very
I've
much.
got two of my aunties here. I'm so blessed. Oh, I'm so blessed today. I've got two of my aunties here today. So, over to you.
I think the last word says violence and domestic. If I have to explain it in a layman's language, you know, it's an abuse, is toxic, is bad, is evil. You know, any form of abuse. You can. It might not just be domestic. It might also be psychological abuse. It can be physical abuse. So any form of abuse, whether psychological, there could be financial abuse. You know, some men even abuse their wives financially by not supporting them. You know, so without saying too much, it's just a way. You know, it's just an evil perpetrated towards somebody. It doesn't matter whether you're a woman or a man. You know, domestic abuse is there, and it could happen to a man or to a woman.
Yeah, true. Thank you very much. Thank you. It could happen to a man or a woman. It could happen to people who are in relationships, in marriage, or not even in marriage, because we've seen people who have been tied down. Of recent, I got a news from someone who said somebody called her for a wedding, and we'll talk more about that. That's because the man had been beaten and beaten, but then I guess she was in a relationship she knew that she was not meant to go in, but because the mentality about, oh, I may not see another man, all the men have been taken, oh, I will become single for life, that frustration kicks in. But because of Osinachi's case, so many people are now taking bold steps, and that's why we are asking, when they take the bold step, how do we help them as their support system, or what do we do to be proactive? So, Auntie Mo, in your own words, what do you think domestic violence is? And before you actually tell us what it is, could you please introduce yourself as well? Auntie PB, you'll be introducing yourself later. So, Auntie Mo.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Morola Hayden. I'm a pastor. I am also a lawyer by profession. And I have been supporting women in social enterprise and social enterprise for many, many years. One of my pet areas, or one of my pet type of people to support, is people who are experiencing domestic violence. And I'm glad that PB mentioned it immediately, that it's not just violence against women, it's men too. Men can also suffer from domestic violence. And also, we say domestic, but actually it doesn't necessarily just happen in the home. It would happen to people within relationships, which is why we call it domestic. So it could be that you're in a premarital relationship, or you're already married, or you're in that stage when you're courting. So it's a relationship that is tending towards kind of lifetime partnership. Now, also something PB said is that it's not just physical. It's not just physical. It's not just psychological. It's not just financial. It could be manipulative, just even a manipulative relationship. Could be a codependent relationship. That's a relationship where you want to get out, but you can't actually get out because, it seems like a tie. The person is going to kill themselves or something if you get out of it. It could be, something that you're not even aware of, yet you're being manipulated and being controlled within this relationship. It could even look like it's good. It could be like it's for your benefit because you can see how you're gaining, and yet it's a toxic relationship. Yet it's abuse. It's an abusive relationship. So for me, it's quite a wide definition, and it's one that if you look at it in various ways, you can recognize it. I'm sure that by the time we finish this session, you'll be able to recognize if you're hanging on to any kind of toxicity in any relationship like that.
Yes, true. Thank you very much. Thank you. And that takes me to my question. What are those red flags we see that make us say this is a toxic relationship? Or maybe, it's just one of those things in marriage you need to at what point do we draw a line between this is usually marriage, or this is toxic, a red flag, you need to get out? At what stage? Auntie PB, as you what's it called? As you introduce yourself, please also tell us at what stage we call it toxic.
Okay, my name is Mrs. Patricia Babatunde. Yeah, I'm a research officer at Middlesex University, and also head of department for my children's church in my children's ministry in my church, and I work closely with women. I also part of leadership group for women as well, and I have such a big flair for women, and I said to my niece Bumi here that I've actually helped. Maybe before we come to that, she will ask another question that I will have to tell you that. Yes. That's why she invited me on this platform. I think some of the red flags you see is verbal abuse, even from the onset, and when you notice low self-esteem with a guy telling you, sorry, I think because I'm using my phone, can see my face leaving. So when the guy feels uncomfortable, not uncomfortable, but they feel like you have a better job, or just feel like you are seen or known, or you're popular or something, and then they don't like it. So mainly low self-esteem will cause a man to start. When you see all of that, and again, ask questions. See, I see how the guy is treating you from relationship point of view, not marriage this time. These are some of the red flags. If you see any of those, and if it's continuing, some relationships, even from courtship, the boyfriend is beating them a lot, and they still go into that marriage. So some of these red flags, when you see them, when you are verbally abused, you might not even be physically abused, verbally abused, emotionally abused, and maybe you are also physically abused, these are red flags for you not to go into marriage. You cannot change a man, overnight. You cannot even change them. It's only God that can change people. And to be honest with you, I personally will not go into a marriage like that when I've seen all those red flags.
Thank you. From your own experience of people you've dealt with as a lawyer and as someone who this is the prison ministry and have heard a lot and have dealt with different people, what do you think are those red flags that people don't actually take to heart? They kind of ignore, and then it goes out of hand when they get into marriage or when they go further down the line.
I think I'll agree with PB on a lot of what she said. I'm just going to add to it. So, for example, a man has low self-esteem, but the way that it comes out is that they try to control you. So they control your dressing, they control your talking, who you can make friends with, who you can't make friends with. Sometimes it even starts earlier on. They control what you study and how far you go with your education. You have a job that's maybe a little bit better than theirs or earns a little bit more, and they want you to leave it or complain about the fact that you're not having time for them. It's to do with things that will kind of demean you or will bring you lower than you should be. So those are red flags. Once somebody is abusive, when you're in a relationship and someone's abusive towards you verbally, someone doesn't hold your corner, they don't defend your corner. Their friends talk at you and they have nothing to say about it. Sometimes even their family talk about you or talk at you, and they don't stop it. They kind of they don't stand up for you in any way. All these things are red flags even before the guy begins to pick up his hand and smack you. I mean, I don't know what a girl or a man who's been slapped by their fiancé is doing in marriage to that same person, because it'll only escalate, And from the point of view of the women that I have worked with who are in prison, and it's also to do with an inability to fend for yourself, a great dependency on the man or the woman, so that your whole relationship's been focused on that one person all the time that you've been going out. It's what they want, it's how they please. And when you get into marriage, it may be, I want you to just stay home and look after my children. And, and these things are all, if they're not questioned, as PB said, if you can't ask any questions, you can't raise a doubt or raise an eyebrow or raise any kind of resistance about something, it becomes a problem, or it becomes an issue that you're shut down or you're talked down at. You're in a toxic relationship. There's a lot. There's a lot.
It's a lot, and it comes in different forms. One person experiencing it might be different from the way another person experiences it.
Yes.
And thank you, Yemisi. She said talks down at you and puts you down before the family members. Even like with children, you don't want to correct children in front of other people. You want to call them to the side, not to talk of someone you say you love. It's out of this world to imagine. And I've seen videos that sometimes I just hold my hands on my head. That, what is this really happening, or is this film trick? Well, when you look at them, all the skits, not skits, all these short clips that people have started posting, especially on WhatsApp, you see someone using the iron for ironing clothes on another human being, not just because she's a woman, but even if it's a woman using it on a man using it on a woman, it's just not right. It's just not right. And so that takes us to the main reason why we're here today. How do we help? And that is, I think T is trying to connect online. T is trying to connect on the screen. She hasn't been able to, but hopefully when she connects, she will tell us more about helping. And what I noticed from people that have been interviewed is lack of information. There's lack of information of what to do and how to go about it. So we want to be proactive. We say talk is cheap, But what do we do? What do we do? It's not just about, oh, this happened, that happened. What do we do? And that is where, Auntie PB, what have you done in a situation where someone was actually in a toxic relationship? And I know you told me about it, but I want you to share with the viewers what did you actually do to help such people, and what would you be advising people around who are watching and are facing this in one way or the other, or have people who are facing and are thinking, I actually don't know what to do. I swore an oath that I would never tell anyone. So what do I do? Yeah, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Bumi. And I think what you need to do, if you're told, because most people keep it to themselves, they don't say anything. Sometimes, you see bruise, you see a sign, and then they keep it and they say, oh, no, I hit my head. Or, protecting their husband. You see what I mean? They've forgotten that until things get to where we are today, then people begin to react. But to be honest with you, what I've done, without deviating from the question, I've actually helped a friend to pack her stuff. And I didn't just do it overnight. Constant beating, bruises, all sorts of things. When you see her, you will know she's dying. So I'm glad that today she left that man. As a matter of fact, the man came to my flat. And to be honest with you, I did this as a single person. I wasn't married. I wasn't married. I got married when I was 33. So some people might say, oh yeah, that's a bit late, but there's nothing late with God. So at that stage, I was a believer, a very strong believer, and walking in the Lord, know the Bible. I was a counselor, I was a trained counselor as well. And so, I know what I say to people, what people say to me. So when I got married, I was like fully equipped. God has equipped me because I was much older. I was 33, so I had to do that because I saw my friend dying, So I saw that if I don't do anything, that will cause her death. I didn't even realize that what I was doing at that stage, but I made sure that I need to tell the person that if you come here and take this, I took her into my flat. She was very ill. She was, like I said, she was dying. We never know what would have happened. But if she had died, I probably would feel guilty all the rest of my life. That, hey, if I knew, I would have probably just do something. But I actually did something. So if somebody comes and confide with you, please, please, please take action. Don't wait. Don't wait. And encourage them. Tell them the reasons why you are doing what you're doing. You understand? We don't need to wait for Osinachi's one. I really wish this one didn't die, and that somebody would have helped her. There should be a support system, for you. Get somebody that you trust. Don't even think about that man. Think about yourself as well. Your children. Think about you being, like Bumi said, live. When I said to live. If you don't live, you can't live for your children. The children just say, oh, let me stay here. Especially African families. Let me stay here. Oh, my children. But you are dying. You are not happy. Why do you have to marry, stay in a relationship that is toxic? That that if there's abuse, there are so many relationships we're in, but there's no physical abuse. It could be emotional abuse. And that's even worse. But we're not talking about that today. So I think that is what I'm going to say. That some of the red flags and what I can advise a person. They need to trust you. They need to know that you are there to support them. You are there to hold their hand. Let them trust you. And you too, do something about it. Please don't just look away. Do something about it.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly. Do something about it. And that's why we are here. What can we do? People who haven't got all that information. I really kudos your proactiveness, for someone to just go into someone's I guess it must have reached here for you as well. Like, like, I know. So we need to kind of put ourselves in the shoes of other people. What would you do if you are the one? I was watching just one of those Facebook lives yesterday. She left marriage when she was 21. What's her name now? She's a very popular one. She's a relationship person. What's her name now? Something Blessing CEO. I was going on Facebook and I just saw her video come up live and I was like, she's on a different level, but she was like, she started dating the guy at 15. They married, got married, and at 21, she said the guy will tie her to the ceiling fan and flog with it was terrible. I wish people could just, there's so many stories to listen to, and there's someone else I'm expecting today who's going to tell us how she scaled through as well. But before then, let me ask you, Auntie Mo, what do you think people need to do to be more proactive?
Okay, especially in the community we are, and indeed, because we're from, mainly the African community, we have this thing about the fact that to leave your husband is a stigma, and when your faith, either the Christian faith or Islamic faith, it's like it's a taboo. You can't get out of a marriage, you can't leave your children there, and all of this. My first thing is that the community we're in frowns. I'm not saying there's not domestic abuse in this community too, but frowns at domestic abuse, and there are lots of help organizations out there. One of the things that you can do, for instance, is there are safe places that don't blazon we are helping domestic abuse victims, but there are safe places you can just go into them. They have a look. If you go online, when Dr. Bumi is finished, I'm going to send her a few details of organizations and things that I know of and that I have signposted people to, who will initially, start listening, giving you a listening ear. Now, the other thing is that, like PB said, you have to find somebody that you trust. Please, if you're in an abusive relationship, there is nothing to be gained by staying in there until you die. See, if you die, that home, be you male or female, somebody else is going to come into it. Somebody else will take that place. So it's not like you're saving the place for yourself, number one. Number two, when you are in a caustic relationship or a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship and you have children in it, your children are also being affected. Let me tell you this. Every time they see their mother or their father slapped and tied to the ceiling fan or locked in the room, it's affecting them psychologically. Number one, you're telling those children that it's okay to stay in and try to survive a domestic abusive relationship. Number two, you're telling those children that this is how to treat a woman or a man. Number three, you're affecting them psychologically. So when those children go out and begin to misbehave in certain ways, it's because you have affected them. I have friends, I know people who I have worked with who have had to get counseling for their children. And when those children begin to speak, begin to express themselves based on what they saw, you would not believe it. Sometimes the children go to school and they begin to act out what they have seen at home, or they begin to feel that they want to protect another child because they haven't been able to protect their own parents at home. They've seen their mother or their father going through this thing and they're too young, they can't do anything. So when they see another child bullying another child on the play field, they want to stand up for the child that can't stand up for themselves. And then they are stigmatized, or they're ostracized, or they're picked out as being troublesome children. So when we are I'm saying all that to say, you yourself in that abusive relationship, you must recognize that it's an abusive relationship. We've talked about all the various flags that you can see. Then you must know that the person that is abusing you is an abuser. That's what they're called. Not husband or wife. They are an abuser. And when you see that that person is an abuser, you're going to deal with an abuser or think about an abuser differently than you think about the love of your life and the other thing. You must see that that person is abusing you. Now, once that is the case, then the next thing you must do is you must try and get help. And I'm saying that, I mean, I hope that Dr. Bumi will do something that's very practical about this too. Getting help is about looking for someone that you will talk to who will not go, your wife talked to me yesterday. You, this man, what are you doing? That's not a trusted person. The person that you can trust won't go and divulge your information. They're going to listen to you and they're going to help you to walk through the process. So number 3 thing is find a trusted help. And you can find them in different organizations also. You have to also remember that, guess what? If you're in an abusive relationship and the social services gets to know that things are like that are happening in your home, your children are even in danger. So get help. Find a friend that knows you, like PB did. You like Dr. Bumi said, you're great that you could walk into that relationship, but it's because of the relationship of trust between you and that lady. If there had not been a relationship of trust, I don't believe that you could have been able to help her in that way and probably saved her from the jaws of death. Find the person that you trust and talk to them, and then be ready, be willing to walk the process. See, you have to make up your mind. If you're in an abusive relationship and you're going to get out of it, it's a mind made up. You're going to walk the walk. You're going to go all the way through with it. You're going to survive. And so you're going to do whatever it takes for you to do that. And that has to be your mindset. So you settle your mindset and then we start the process.
Wow.
I hope that helped.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll need to put on another video just to... It's so loud, sorry. I'd like us to look at this one.
তুমি এত চিন্তা করছো, মুখটা তো একদম শুকিয়ে গেছে।
না মা, তেমন কিছু না। ভাবছিলাম তোর নতুন সংসার হতে যাচ্ছে, নতুন ঘর। ছেলেটার ব্যাপারে সব খোঁজ খবর নিয়েছি। লেখাপড়া, চাকরি বাকরি, আয় রোজগার, বংশ, কিন্তু ওদের মন মানসিকতা কেমন সেটা জানি না। তোর সব বিপদ আপদ, সব কষ্ট আমাকে জানা, আমি সব সময় তোর পাশে আছি। এটা দিলাম বোঝার জন্য এই বাড়ির দরজা তোর জন্য সব সময় খোলা। বুঝতে পেরেছিস?
Did we see that?
ভিতরে আসো।
Let's watch it again.
কি করে টের পাস মা?
How do you always
এসেছি?
know it's
আমি তো সবকিছু
me?
বুঝতে
Because
পারি।
I just know.
এখন বলো,
Now tell me, what's bothering you?
মুখটা তো একদম শুকিয়ে গেছে।
I can see it is in your face.
তেমন কিছু না।
No, dear, nothing much.
ভাবছিলাম
I was
তোর
thinking
নতুন
about
সংসার হতে
your new
যাচ্ছে।
life, your new family.
ছেলেটার ব্যাপারে সব
I've
খোঁজ
looked
খবর
into his
নিয়েছি।
background,
লেখাপড়া,
his education,
চাকরি বাকরি,
what he does,
আয় রোজগার, বংশ,
his family.
কিন্তু
But
ওদের মন
I
মানসিকতা
don't know
কেমন
how
সেটা
to.
জানি।
I don't know them too well.
তোর সব বিপদ আপদ,
Always tell me
কষ্ট
if you're ever in trouble or
আমি
feel
সব সময়
unhappy.
তোর
I am always by your side.
এটা দিলাম বোঝার
I'm
জন্য
giving this to you so
এই
you
বাড়ির
know
দরজা
that the doors of this house
তোর
will
জন্য
always be
সব
open
সময়
for
খোলা।
you.
বুঝতে পেরেছিস?
Do you understand? See, I think that's the stage we need to. That's what we need to. That's the stage we need to start encouraging people. That's one of the steps, I think, because some will say, "Oh, well, you've been more like as if you've been sold. You've been sold out, so you don't ever come back here. You know, this is now your husband. You live there, you die there, you everything there." So I think there's a new understanding now about people leaving their homes open for their children. If anything goes, like we said, life happens. People lose their spouses, people get maimed, or things happen. But when things like that happen, nobody definitely wants to sign to or divorce or broken homes or single parenthood or anything like that. But now we see that sometimes it's necessary to leave our doors open for when these children are in danger. Let them find a place to come back to. I think T had that experience. T, do you want to tell us? I know your dad of blessed memory was very, it was just exactly what that man did. I'm sure, So do you want to tell us? I know you said a bit about your story the last time, but do you want to shed more light on that video we watched? T.
Hi everyone.
Hello.
My name
Hello.
okay, hi. I just wanted to make sure you can hear me. Yes,
Yeah, we
when I
can.
saw that video this morning, I sent it to Bumi and I put it on my WhatsApp status that that man is 1,000,000% my dad.
Hmm.
From day one, the first time my parents, because when I say my dad, I'm actually talking about both my dad and my mom. When he heard, he was very livid. He was, God, I can't even use the word. He was pissed off.
Hmm.
Like he was like, oh no, show no be any.
Hmm.
You know, he couldn't fathom it. So there was a day, in fact, I was just telling my sister that I'm here with. There was a day, I don't know what happened, and he called my dad and he actually told my dad that Muagba. That means my dad now asked that Muagba. Jo she bo she gba tan yen so tun ma gun. And he didn't have a word. He couldn't respond because my dad was relating it back to me. That I said to him that he's an animal. Báwo ló ṣe máa ń na ìyàwó ẹ̀ tán wàá tún wá fẹ́ gùn ẹranko ni ẹ́, you're an animal. You know, my dad was so much in support. When I left, he would reassure me and tell me that you're not a failure.
Hmm.
He lost. You leaving him is a big loss to him. You know, I always had that reiteration. Anytime I was down, if I had any issues at all. I remember when I wanted to put my son's papers in, and you know, financially I had to pay the house rent, pay my bills. So, you know, it was time for me to put it in, but I just could not, you know, afford to take the money out. And my dad said, hey, when I'm still alive, he sent me money. When it was time for me, I didn't put mine in until about 6 months after 6 months after my son's own was regularized. And he said, what is delaying? I said, Dad, me, I don't have 3,000 to put any papers in. And again, he sent me money from Nigeria. It was like, never, not while I'm alive. When he went back to beg about 4 or 5 years ago, my dad asked him, why? Why were you beating my daughter? Why did my daughter have to suffer to raise your son? Even when you left, you still were not supporting financially. Why should my daughter be responsible for raising your son? You know, so that family support is very, very important. And the family is always the first point of call before anybody goes to. I'm not trying to knock any efforts, you know, community, NGOs and all that. But your friend, your family, they are your first safety net. Probably when you start talking to people that they will actually point you to, oh, I know this NGO, I know this person, I know this person. You understand? The family, your friends are the first point of contact, and people really need to stand by their own.
Okay.
People should stop stigmatizing those who failed in marriages, because that stigmatization is what a lot of people run from. Stigmatization is number one. Is the number one killer. In our language, you'll be like, but especially these days of social media where they are dying. They've battered them. They'll still be putting sunglasses on. Couple goals. You know, they are dying inside. It's not as rosy as it seems. You know?
Thank you very much, T. Thank you very much, T. And you know, it, like you said, our families should be the safety net for anyone, even net or nest, you know, still be the safety net for anyone. But there's a case of a contrary case, which B is here to talk to us about, which happens to her. So B, you know, could you please tell us a little bit about your story and how your own family was not the safety nest or net for you? Go ahead, please. B, you need to unmute your mic. Oh, she's gone. All right. Okay. I guess she's in a different place, so the internet is playing up. But yes, I've got someone here says report to authorities and also find help available in your area, like shelters and NGOs. Auntie Auntie PB, what were the steps you took before you actually went in to? I'm sure it wasn't just a sporadic, a spontaneous reaction like, oh no, and then you go and pack things. What were those steps you took? Because those are the steps people want to know before they jump into the deep end. They want to know, what do I have to start doing even before I leave the home?
Okay, the steps I took with this particular sister is to talk to her. Like I said, trust is the first thing, and I think Sister Ola, the lawyer here, also mentioned trust is very, very important. I did explain to her that, you know what, your life matters. Your life matters. And because that other person was also in another relationship, there's infidelity, there's a battering, there's all sorts of things that is making life so difficult for this sister. So everything coupled together, I first of all had to speak to her first. It is only when you have life that you can think. So, but they after giving her that reassurance, and like I don't know who mentioned it, that they need to be prepared. I think it's Sistola as well. They need to be prepared. They need to make that decision themselves. So she was at that point after speaking to her, and don't forget that it took a couple of months. And like Bumi said now, that it's not just go there, pack your you are beaten, okay, come to my house. No. I had a flat, so I was able to house her and put her there for her to recover, because she was very ill from all those beating, and it was endless.
Wow, endless. So hello?
Yeah.
Are you still there? Okay, it's on. Thank you. Thank you very much. B is back online. So B, I was asking, I know your story is a bit contrary to what T said about her family being a safety net. What is your story, B? And how did you overcome that? You can unmute your mic, B, if you can hear me. Yes. Maybe are you struggling with your mic? B?
Hello?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I think I've got a bad network here. I think it's just the location I'm at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry about that. So sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said. I mean,
Okay.
the last.
Yes, let me recap. So T has just told us when she had that, when she was a victim, she, her family was the safety net, and they were very much, it was unacceptable for them to see their daughter being beaten and all of that. And they
Yeah.
were, they signed to her leaving and starting a new life. But with yours, I said it was a different kettle of fish entirely. And do you want to tell us briefly? Well, I don't know if that could be brief, but do you want to just tell us in your own words, what was your experience and how did you overcome you not having a family safety net despite
Oh,
the
okay.
ordeal you went through?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think mine didn't come through as the same with T. I didn't have as much support from my family as I, presumed I should get. Anyway, straight to the point, when all this started, and at that point, it happened that any slight beating, my family, they were in Nigeria, I'm here in the UK, they would always be the first point of contact for me. Even 3 a.m., 2 a.m., me buying lots of credits, they would always be the first contact. When it happened, like on it again, this, blah. But then, I don't know whether it's just the culture or the cultural background, then my mom would be like, oh, just, be patient, just be patient, don't do anything nasty, just keep it to yourself. Don't tell your friends. Just, let me just be patient there, and you hearing that from your own very mom. I did that. I listened to her. I was a good girl for some years. But at a point, I realized that it was not helping me. Maybe I should just fight this one scenario. So the very first day, this guy laid his hand on me. I mean, he's been doing a lot of, I've had a lot of experiences in other aspects like the emotional part, psychological, financial, name it. I've been through every stage of an abusive marriage. But the first day he would lay his hand on me was, I think there was that particular day. We were just having a conversation. I mean, there are days that we had there was no argument. I didn't even know what happened. We were both in the kitchen and we were just talking. And suddenly I had my 10-month-old baby boy. And I think he was sleeping at the time. But while we were chatting, I can't recollect that, we had any argument at all. And my baby woke up and I had to run upstairs to, pick him. And I brought him downstairs. And suddenly when I got downstairs, I didn't even know what happened. The first thing I heard was a big slap on my face. To be honest, I don't know the reason till date. And then I wear glasses. Immediately my glasses just flew somewhere. I don't even know. I became dizzy. The baby I was carrying and over the baby and walked away. And what really happened? What has happened? I was even less concerned about myself. I was more concerned about the baby on the floor. And immediately, that was my first thought.
Sorry, B. What did you say happened to the baby? What did you do to it?
Yeah, the baby fell on the floor. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
we can hear you. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, so it fell on the floor. And the dad just crossed over him and he walked away. And at that point, I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. In fact, I was less concerned about the slap on my face. I was more concerned about the baby on the floor. And I was like, this baby, look at it, hit his head on the floor. What could I have known that would have happened to the baby? And immediately I reached out to ambulance. And I think in the process of me reaching out to the ambulance, they asked me what happened. And I told them exactly what happened. And I think whilst they were coming, they came along with the police entourage. So on getting to my house, they treated my child, they looked after him, and then the police they interviewed me. They interviewed him as well. Like they interviewed us separately. They did mine in the kitchen, they did his in the living room at the time. And we both said exactly what happened. I believe because that was this first experience with the police in this country, So he said the truth. And suddenly, as I said the truth, my mom, she stays in Nigeria, but she does come, every now and then. But at that time, she was in the country. Not in my house at the time. She went out. I think she just went to visit somebody else. She went to the store or something. So immediately, as the police guys just finished interviewing us, my mom walked into the house. And I think, I just thought like, I think as she was coming in and she saw the police cars and everything, she was a bit so nervous and everything. And she came in. And the moment she came in, she just started screaming my name. I'm a Yoruba. I'll just, for a better explanation. It's like, Shele, mommy. And she was just facing me. Why to she not be why, like that was just like, you didn't even ask what happened. You just walked in and you started calling my name. She didn't even ask, my ex or whatever. She just came in and straight to me. And, the way she was saying it, she was also trying to cry, showing that sober face. And me as a good girl then, I was like, was I feeling like, how can my mom be crying? How can my mom be crying like this? So she was like, she now kind of, convinced me to change that story with the police guys. And at the time, I was nervous. I had my own slap. I had my child in a situation that I couldn't even understand. And then I was also facing the situation with my mom. So I had to immediately tell the police guy. I said, no, this guy did not slap me. I changed him. And then the police guy, when he did I said, she is my mom. Oh, has she told you to change the story? I said, no. But I believe that was the way God just wanted it. And that went straight into the file. And that was the beginning of it. And at that point, my mom never called that guy, like, why did you slap my daughter? So anything that happened, they were always accusing me. She was always facing me. She never spoke. There are two people in this marriage whatsoever. I believe, they should speak to the both of us. So most of the time, I am the one having to change, having to, adjust. And this guy just keep feeling like, yes, I'm on top of the world now. Even sometimes my mom will come, well, yeah, bear, kneel down and just apologize, whatever. Anytime we're having a misunderstanding like that. And out to we go. And they say, well, no, debate go faramo. Well, no, you to stand up and embrace your wife and, those kind of a thing. And this guy started feeling, and that was just the beginning of the domestic abuse. And I think over time, it made him feel like I don't even have a family that would support me. And it made me feel that I was, anyway, he actually started with the isolation. He isolated me from all my friends. He stopped me from going to the church I've always been going to. This is the guy I invited. This is the guy I brought from Nigeria, and, so to answer your question, over time, I have unfortunately not
Yeah, the internet is
I've
playing up.
left.
Yeah, so over
Okay.
time.
Is it
Over
okay?
time.
Yeah, so over
Yeah.
time, so at the time when I eventually decided to, a lot of stories, I don't want to go into details, but at the time, I just want to focus on answering your question, right? So at the time I decided to leave, I didn't tell anybody. I'd already done my own research. I've reached out to the right people. It's like when you go to the church, I had to leave my church to go to a Redeemed church. I never used to go to an African church anyway, but because of him, I had to go. At the point, the pastor told me, madam, please stop calling me. I am not the cause of the problem in your marriage. That was what my pastor said. And then here is my mom doing the same. And I felt like, yes, I think this is now the battle with myself. I have to just stand up for myself. I just have to be strong for myself and my children. So the peak of it was at the point I went to visit the doctor, and the doctor said, oh, you have high blood pressure, and they had to put some things on my body that I had to anywhere I was going, I think it was for 48 hours or something, I had to keep that on my body everywhere I went to at the time. And and the same, my mom was the first person I told. My mom is a retired midwife. And up to date, I informed my mom since that day. She has not even asked me, so how have you been managing the blood pressure? So when I looked at all that, and so immediately I had to just start making my own personal research. I became strong immediately because, your life is very important. People say, emotional trauma is not painful. It is very painful. And until when you actually realize your worth in life, you will not take the necessary step. You will continue to fight for other people at the detriment of your own life. You know, so at that time I sat down and I like, what was the priority for my life? Where was the reason why I even got married in the first place? Was I getting that joy, you know, just from one problem to the other, one argument or the other? I had no support from my parents. My parents were always blaming me. And I was like, so nobody actually understood me. What was it? So I had to like, well, you understand yourself. Just stand up for yourself. So immediately I started making research. I started reaching out to professionals, the experts in things like this. And God just, you know, I think it was just God's mercy at the time. You know, I met the right people. I made my decision and I moved out. Even when I moved out, I didn't tell anybody. He was the one that went back and, you know, was telling everyone, they, you know, that I've left the house, they can't find me. You know, so at the end of the day, my mom was calling me and then I kept, you know, I picked her call and I was like, well, she was like still accusing me. Why would you leave your husband's house? Will you go back there? Why? You know, so at the time I was like, well, I think the domestic abuse was not, as if the domestic, the trauma I was getting from the domestic abuse was not sufficient. And she was actually literally adding to it. And at that point, I had to speak out to those people she looked up to. And I said, please, can you help me? Can you just help me speak to her? Because I'm going to block her off. I have made a decision for my life. At that time, it was not easy for me. Just the way it's not easy to so many today. You know, a lot of people will think that, if I leave this house, how would I cope? The same way I thought that way. Like, would I be able to look after these two children by myself? I had that fear. I had every worries, everything to worry about. But at the same time, I thought about it. My life was more important. If anything had happened to me, what would they say? Oh my Bruni, you know, that lady, she we have been saying, you know. So I needed to be able to speak for myself. I needed to be able to be strong for myself and my children. And at the time as well, you know, I was like, oh, what should I do? You know, one of the things I thought of before leaving, I was like, I didn't want to destabilize the studies of my children, and you know, they were very little at the time. But fortunately, God just led me to somebody. And the person sat me down and said, you know what? You not taking your child with you, you are doing your child or your children more harm. Because you leaving them there, you're literally teaching them that it is very acceptable for a man to lay his hand on a woman. So at that point, I said, no. I've thought about the future of my children. I thought about my own future as well. I said, no, I have to literally, you know, fight for myself and my children. So I literally packed. I moved from the house. My mom kept telling me to go back. And I said, well, the only condition, I mean, at this time, I had to literally be bold. I was literally brave upon nothing. I'm telling you, I was working part-time, not that I even had the money or anything, you know, but I had to be brave. At the time, I told God, you know what, God, I am making this decision. If I go out and I get to regret it, I will take up the responsibility. And if I go out, I don't regret, well, all the glory to God, you know. And so at that time, I told her, well, on a condition, if you would go to the family of my children's dad and tell them, why have your son been beating my own daughter? I've not given your daughter as for you to start beating. And my mom said bluntly to me that she can never do it. And at that time I said, yes, I think I'm just the only one in this. So I blocked her off. I blocked a few other people off. And I made my decision. I stood by my ground. Until date, I have not even regretted it. This was a guy that got intimidated because of my job. At a point, he was like, Shebi, you're working permanent. Me, it's contract. Anytime they can, me, it was even doing temporary job at the time. It was even like, even with my permanent, I was looking for a more, stable job, and I was still looking for a better job. That's me. I'm self-motivated. I'm very high self-willed. And he would say, well, you think I've not been seeing all the application you have been making, all the jobs? Just let me see any letter of application coming to this house. That's the kind of guy this person is. And a lot of other stuff, So at that point, I left the house. Within 3 or 4 months, I left the house. God just worked it out. I got into an apartment that was completed within just a week. And I'm like, would I have got this opportunity if I was still there? In about how many months, maybe about 3 months down the line, I got a car in my own name. Things started working out for me. I started feeling, yes, because I started feeling more satisfied, like, yes, baby, you have fought for yourself. And that is the fear. Fear is not emotional. Fear is a messenger. If only you succumb to it, you will never progress. Sometimes we get carried away with fear. Oh, what will happen? What will people say? Yes, people said a lot. And as many people that came to me and said a lot, I blocked them off immediately. I started hearing like, baby, if you just see anything like this, she will just block you off. Yes, because I had a destiny to look after, to look up to. So if only ladies today can be that bold, I know it is not easy. This is a decision.
Yeah.
I've been there. I have been there. It was not easy for me to make this decision. I was an introvert. This situation made me strong today. I was a complete introvert. Realize my worth, So to answer your question, I didn't have much. I stood up for myself, and here am I today.
Thank you. So before you go, because I know the internet is bad, anytime you could drop off the line. But before you go, what are the red flags, or what are the red flags you think people should watch out for in relationships for them to take that step? Because like we said earlier, before you joined in, we said, you want to know the difference between, this is just part of marriage, maybe, a little. I don't want to assume that everything in marriage, well, if you think about it, everything in marriage could make you say, this is a toxic relationship. Or because you're not having your way, you say, buy me that restroom. You're not buying me that restroom. Toxic relationship. What is the can you tell us what are the red flags to watch out for to determine if a relationship is actually toxic or not, from your own experience and from the experience of those you have helped? Because I know you said it while we were talking, that you've actually helped so many people plan out, their escape routes. So what are those red flags for people to watch out for?
So number one, with my one example,
okay. I guess the internet is playing up, but okay, let me go back. Let me go to I think Dia's kind of dropped off the call. Okay, when she comes back, she'll tell us about the red flags. Well, T, do you before I go to Auntie PB and Auntie Ola, T, do you want to tell us what are the red flags? Because people are watching, maybe this is their first video they're watching, maybe they haven't watched the last one we did, and they're thinking, what are red flags? Or maybe there are people who are actually in it but are thinking, what do I need to do? I don't know. I think I'm okay. It's just part of marriage.
Okay,
what are those red flags?
there are a lot of
cross the Rubicon. Yeah, go on, T. Sorry, T, you can go on now.
okay. DV is gradual. It doesn't just start boom. like that. It's gradual. So part of the red flags people need to know is and if DV is not, sometimes it's not physical. So sometimes you can't even see it. You won't even, like I said the last times, you don't even know that you're going through it. It will take a third party to tell you this is not right. So part of the red flags starts from being talked down at. You know, when your so-called partner or boyfriend or husband does not talk to you as if you're two people in love, he's talking down at you, reprimanding you as if he's reprimanding his child. It starts from there. It starts from whenever he's angry or he's not happy, everybody around him has to be affected. Then it begins to graduate. Once he gets away with that, if he's not being challenged or being checked, or maybe he's used to it as well, then it starts from, okay, if you ask questions, it's like you don't have a right. You can't say anything. And it's all about him. Even when he lashes out at you, if he's going to apologize, he won't apologize directly. He will be like, you two shouldn't have done that. You know, he doesn't take responsibility, he doesn't take ownership. Or he or she, when I say he, I'm talking about both parties now. You know, the person doesn't take ownership. Those are some of the red flags before he graduates to, it starts from, then he starts throwing things. He starts denying you of stuff. You guys have an argument and he's not eating your food. He won't touch you. You know?
Okay, I think the internet is not our friend tonight.
You don't have a say in anything. So those are part of either, you know, maybe in the 50s or 60s, there's no woman in.
we can't hear you clearly. The line is breaking. Maybe you want to move to a better location around the house where your signal is very strong. We couldn't hear the last.
Can you hear me now? Because I'm in a.
Oh,
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. Then it starts. I can't even remember where I stopped. But anyway, he starts denying you of things.
Okay.
Like the woman that provoked this. Can you hear me?
Yes. No.
Yes,
we
can.
Yes, okay. We can.
Yeah, she was the one. Osinachi was the one working. The man was the one spending the money. Things like that. It's not normal. Anything that you know is not normal. If you're in a union, especially those that grew up in a happy home. I knew mine initially, I was not sure, but later I started querying things that this didn't happen with my dad and my mom now. I started querying that. If you're going to get together with a man, if he's over 50 or 60, it is not normal. You need to go and find out why he's unmarried. What happened to his exes? Don't just go in that, he told you stories. He told you story, oh, my baby mama was not good, this one was not good. Go and do your findings. Don't just settle for what he has told you. To every story, there are three sides. His side, her side, and the truth. Into my second, that man, you won't believe in this sentence that my dad actually went as far as where he originates from. So go and find out what kind of family I was going into the second time. Even when he went to my dad, I want to marry your daughter, blah, blah. My dad said, yes, he wants to marry her, but until my daughter comes to me and tells me that she's ready to marry you, that's when I will give my consent. So all these things are very important. Do not ignore. There's a Yoruba thing that says, "Tabaju obesile nikba igba, ibi pelebe náà ló máa land sí." Your case is not different and it's not exclusive and you're not special. I thought I was very special, that I would never, that the man I need to be like my dad. Until I entered it, that was when I knew that, yes, I don't enter him. So do the needful. Stop all this, what will I call it? What is Olaju in English now? Let's stop this nonsense of we're in social media. Our time is different. We are Gen Z. No, you're not Gen Z. It's even getting worse. The kind of domestic violence out now is worse than it was. If you have been on Instagram in the last 3 days, a guy poisoned his wife in Ilorin. It's getting bad. So people just need to know your case is not different. Yes, it happens in different circumstances. Domestic violence is domestic violence. Somebody is bullying somebody.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's just the pattern and how it occurs is what is different.
Yeah.
And there are situations to mitigate against it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, T. I really appreciate that. Auntie Ola needs to leave, but before she leaves, she wants to give us a final word. What is your final word for those watching and thinking, what steps do I need to take, especially if you're either in the UK or out of the UK? What steps do I need to take apart from having trusted friends and what you said? Is there anything by law? Because as a lawyer, the people want to know how, especially. Okay, there's so many things to say. So many things are just popping into my head, and I'm thinking, okay. Now, there is someone who hasn't got they haven't got their papers and all of that. And this person is threatening, you don't have papers, just like it happened to T. You don't have papers. If anything happens, the police will take you, they will deport you, and they use that to hold them bound in that kind of relationship. As a lawyer, I know you wouldn't condone, anything outside the law, but what would be your advice for people who are suffering in silence? Auntie Ola? Are you there? Okay, I guess maybe she's not here at the moment. So maybe while we wait for her, Auntie PB, any comments on that? Because you have helped somebody who has gone through it. What were the legal implications, of that you had to put in place to help that person? Or what do you think are the legal aid they can get? Or I don't know how to put this now. How did you help? I know this person was the case of the person you helped was a different case. This person had papers, had everything, invited somebody, the husband, maybe from outside the country, but it ended up turning the other way. But how can they take things legally without burning themselves? I guess that's where I'm going. How can they take the situation legally without burning themselves? And people with children in between them, there's always custody of the child, mortgages. Who is gonna, what are the steps that people need to take?
Okay, you know what? The last speaker, was that T?
Yes, T.
Honestly, I just want to really give you a big hug for what you shared, and then the previous speaker as well for being so bold, and for what you've done. To be honest with you, you have to be alive to be able to put things in place or for things to happen. What would have happened if you were there thinking that, if I do this, somebody is telling you, threatening you that if you call the police now, meanwhile they are killing you. What would you see? Let's go back to Osinachi's one, because that is why we're all here. If Osinachi's mom, who has seen those red flags, has screamed and shouted and then pleaded and told her, maybe even called her pastor and said, my daughter is not going back there. That's what I'm saying. And the woman makes a lot of noise. Maybe this girl would have been alive today. So in my case, the last word, like you said, maybe think about your present situation. If you are dead, papers will not matter. Papers will not matter. And this guy will marry somebody else. So I think that everybody's situation is different. When you are in it, ask God for grace, ask God for wisdom. You understand what I mean? What the speaker before the last, what she did, but by packing her, she decided. And honestly, maybe if she hasn't decided, who knows, maybe she would have died. How can you slap somebody and a child? That is barbaric. So to be honest, we can go on and on, but every situation is different. The lady I helped is a British citizen. She came from Nigeria. The guy here was not a British citizen, and it was really messy. But she came to a place where she made up her mind that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So finally, everybody's situation is different. Anything legal, to be honest, in one word, you need to be alive to even make certain decisions. If you are dead, those decisions will not matter.
Yes, so yes. Leave to leave. Leave to leave. Thank you, her gist. She says there are 3 sides to every story, and that is the truth. There are 3 sides. I wish you could jump on to tell us what that means, because I'm trying to figure my head around that sentence, but I'm sure you know what you mean. So please jump on the line. I can send you the link. So if there's anyone on here who wants to say something, you're itching to say something about what has been said or what has not been said, please ask for the link, and I'll send the link to you so you can have your say. This is a forum for us to have our say, talk about your experiences, talk about people you've helped, because what we are here to do is, how do we help people who are going through it? It's not just about, oh, Sinach did this, the husband did that, the children are this, hey, see another story. No, it's how do we, people who are in it at the moment, without them dying, how can we save more lives? So thank you very much for those who have joined. Thank you all on online. Remember to like, to share, to subscribe, to do whatever it is, share the video. So back to B. Thank you very much. I was asking a question. Now I can't even remember what the question was, but I know I was asking you a question about who can remind me now? What was the question I was trying to ask B before her line went off? I know I was trying to ask her something, but is there anything you want to say, B, in addition to what we've been saying? Yes, you can unmute your mic and talk to us, B. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
Yeah, I've not really got much to say. I can only just say, if you are,
Steps. Yeah.
if anyone
Sorry.
is in,
Steps to take to
yeah,
life after leaving. Life after living, what were the steps you took, and what advice will you give to people? I know you mentioned something about strategizing even before you leave. You don't just leave and walk away and then you'll be like, oh, I should have taken my certificate, oh, I should have taken my passport. What are those things you think people need to start thinking of as they are planning their exits? Because that's a way to help
exactly.
them.
Exactly. You have to be very strategic, Well, number one, you have to plan your escape. I'm not saying that any little argument should.
Yep. Says number one, plan your escape. And that doesn't mean for every little argument, I'm packing my bag and going. You didn't buy the red shoe. I wanted the black one. No, it's not like that. Why did you buy pancakes instead of spaghetti? I'm in a toxic relationship, and then you begin to exit. No, that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is that violence, toxicity, would I say now, in a relationship between either the married or the unmarried. And I will emphasize here, marriage is a honorable thing. Marriage is honorable. It's advised for people who want to go into marriage to marry, but to marry rightly. And if for some reason, as life happens to everyone, you ended up finding out that, I am in pepper soup here, I have married the wrong person because of this and this and this, how do you plan your escape. So that's what B is talking to us about. So B, yep. Or if anyone wants to plug in while she's trying to sort her internet out. B, are you there now? Okay, I've got another question here. How does one without paper scale through DV? B, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, so yeah. So how do you said number one is to plan your escape.
Yes. So, and in terms of, everyone just jump, don't just jump out of your marriage, just like you said. And then secondly, I would say you have to do your own research. Don't just listen to friends. Don't just listen to people. Yeah, you have to look for somebody you can actually confide in, and that's another step. But for you to do your own research, take it as your own personal assignment. Go on Google, look for where you can actually get help, seek out for domestic violence agents around, and and then you can also make necessary calls. There's so many hotlines out there you could call. And if you have a phone and you feel, this person is so controlling and, would like to know every call that you make, try to plan something. Probably use a friend's.
Okay. Plan something. Maybe use a friend's, I guess use a friend's phone. Maybe that's what you wanted to say. Find a trusted friend. And I know in T's case, you didn't have a trusted, you thought you had a trusted friend, but then it was a different kettle of fish. Do you want to tell us about it? Because this is something everyone needs to know about. That person you think is a trusted friend might actually end up being the one leaking out the plans. So T, how did you overcome that? Because I know it was another trusted friend that helped you out of the situation, but there was one you couldn't really, you didn't know was not a frenemy, I would say. So what's your story?
Yeah, by the time, she too showed me some flags. See, when I was pregnant, because the DV started from when I was pregnant, and I can remember I was 7.5 months gone, and she actually said to me, why don't you take out the pregnancy? And I looked at her. Then I just clocked 31 then, and I said, listen, even if it was a one-night stand, if it was out of wedlock, I would give birth to this baby. A wayward girl. 1, 2. Even, during the marriage, she was like, why don't you just go and divorce? She didn't even, hers was not to provide a solution like trying to mitigate. It was straight up. She just went for the worst scenarios. Divorce now. Divorce is not meant for animals. It's meant for human beings. Me too. Meanwhile, she too was not. It was not as if her marriage was perfect, though. She ended up leaving the marriage, but that's another kettle of fish. Anyway, by the time it was time for me to plan my exit, and like B said, it's very important to plan your exit, because I remember that when even though my parents they just wanted me out, and I said no, I can't just go. I went to learn, even though I didn't have papers, I went to learn, you can do this care training. I did care training. In fact, the night before I left his house, I was to start my placement the next day, and he had beat the living daylight out of me. I still went for that placement. So even when you've planned your exit, don't let anything stop you. You have to be intentional. If you don't have a trusted friend, there must be someone, except I don't know. You have to be, even if it's a church, if it's an Oyibo church, go and seek solace there. There has to be a way out. The roads are never always blocked. There's always one window opened. You just need to open your eyes and your ears and your heart. And you have to be intentional about every step you make. You have to be intentional. You have to upgrade yourself. Once the moment I knew that my friend was not forthcoming, she stopped hearing anything about me or my personal life. So I relied more on my family, my dad, my mom, my siblings, my cousins that were around me. Because I know they had my back. And victims, you too, you should be nice. The ones that will get married and shut everybody out, you never can tell. Because me, I've always been an open book, and I'm not hyping myself, but I'm always willing to help. So when it was time for me, when I needed the support, I got it. I got it. I was actually tapping my fingers and snapping my hand, and everybody was there for me.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. That's very important. No man is an island. Be a friend. It says, how does the book say it? To be friendly. I've forgotten that. It's escaped my memory. To be friendly, you need to be a friend or something. There was something like that. So yes, building that support system around yourself, not only when we're in trouble, even when we're not in trouble, when everything is rosy. Let's build a support system of people, trusted people. We can always, even if it's not to run to them, even if it's to be the one to help them rather than seeking for their help. But that support system, if you're friendly with someone, they will definitely be there for you at your time of need. So be friendly. I've forgotten that word. Be friendly to be. When I remember, I'll say it. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you very much, T. B, are you there to tell us more about? You said plan your escape, do your own research, find a trusted friend, and then the next one.
Yeah, and then I'll say, when you find a trusted friend, you make sure you really open up, because exposure is key. Very hard to open up in some situations, especially in this case. But the way your healing will be, you just tell them, this is what I'm going through. As long as you can confide in them 100%, because those were the people I looked for. Those are the people I searched for, and I found them. I was able to open up completely, nothing but the truth. So you have to make sure you open up to such people, because you can never know who is going to come to your aid. And then
open up when you find a trusted friend. Open up. Are you still there, B?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. So after open up when you find a trusted friend, is there any other point? I know our time is running out. It's almost 1 hour, 30 minutes again, but it's very useful. We need this at this time. Thank you.
So I would say that as women, we have 100% reliance on the financial capability of our partners. I think it's high time we have to start saving every penny we have. So we have to start putting some money together ourselves. Save your money, open an account in your name only. If you have to use a different address, you use it. Remember, it is all about you. It is just your life. And you need to, I would say, what else? If you're troubled, even if you have to go to your GP and open up, you don't need money to go to a GP. They would always find a place of refuge for you, or they would always you. Tell them the way you're feeling. Express yourself to them, so that they can help every stage of your mental health. And what else? I think, and then, we should, even no matter the little businesses we have to do, let's try and get some form of employment. If you don't have papers, you could just somehow get into some sort of, small business, like cooking, like, get into your church, from your church members as well, so I can just get some money and put this money together. And then, I think that's just the major things. Life is too short, and you have to also fight for yourself for the sake of your children. You have to protect your children at all costs. We know abuse has not got any excuse at all. And, as a woman, we need to know our what.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, we need to know our worth as women. We are, yeah. Yes, go on. I think your final words to us, B.
Yeah, I think that's just the major one. We have to also, assign for ourselves like regular periodical assessment, like how am I doing in terms of my health, in terms of my marriage, in terms of my relationship, in terms of my children. How am I doing? Is this where I intend to be? So I think that is motivation anyway, because I thought that, I've been married for like 6-7 years. I knew where I should have been by then. But at that time, I was just like complete reversal, like backward, and I was so upset with my position at that time. And actually motivated me to, fight for myself. So a lot of people will say they don't have the finances. Some people will say they don't have, papers. There are people, there are agencies. You need to do your research that do help people that don't have papers. Some people even get express papers, like, through this process. If you are pregnant, there are ways you can actually, fast track you getting your stay within UK, especially. I know those that have done it, and it worked for them, So, just do your research. There is a way. Let us stop making ourselves timid. Let us stop pulling ourselves back. Not easy, but keep pushing. At the end of the day, there's lights behind the tunnel. And, something bright will come out that at the end of the day, you'll be so proud of yourself. So don't let us just sit down there and say, pushing shame here, we're in a marriage. This is the way marriage should be. This is the way, don't let them stereotype you at all. Let's move forward. Let's push ourselves. And, we get it.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. I really appreciate your time here. Thank you, B. Thank you. So we've heard a lot about, thank you. We've heard a lot about what has been said. Yes. Adeyanju Egbeyemi, thank you very much, sister or brother. Thank you very much for that. Yes, that's what I was looking for. A man that has friends must show himself friendly. Yes, until we do that, if you want friends, you need to show yourself friendly. That's what I always tell my children. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Now, are there final words? Because I know we've spent a lot of time. Is there anything I've missed out from this talk? Somebody. I know Helen. Thank you very much, Helen Herges. Thank you, Adeyanju. Thank you, Yemisi. Thank you, Abidemi Balogun. Thank you, Helen Gregor. Yeah, I've said that Helen already. Thank you very much for being here and for sharing the video and all of that you've been doing. Thank you for the guests who are here, T, PB, Yola, and B. Thank you very much for being here. Now, there was a question by Helen. It says, how does one without papers scale through domestic violence? I think that's a topic for another day. It's the lawyers that will be able to tell us. I'm not sure if Auntie Ola is still here. Auntie Ola, are you still here? Yes,
I think she left.
She left. Okay. Okay. She hasn't taken. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone who knows what people need to do, because I think that's the main problem with people who are outside the country, haven't got relatives, they haven't got papers, and this person who is like their predator is using this to encroach on their vulnerability and, you know, doing all they can do. They could become slaves, you know, being slaves, slaves in their own homes. They're the ones doing the work, and all the money goes to the spouse, either a man or a woman, and they don't have anything, all because they can't, they haven't got papers in the place of residence. So does anybody have an idea? Oh, T, you'll be the best person. Finally, from you, what can you please answer that question? How does one without papers scale through DV? If there's anyone listening who needs to know that information, or even help someone who has asked them about it, please could you shed more light as part of your final words for us tonight? Because we need to round up. Thank you very much for being here. Yes, T.
Hi, Bumi.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that was for me.
Yes, it was for you, please.
Okay. If you don't have papers, at least leave first. When I left, I didn't have anything. The only thing I had was my son and the gold that I bought with my money. Leave first. Then when you leave, give yourself time, grieve, cry, because you need your headspace. You need clarity of mind. Because when your head is not in the right place, you can't think. You won't even know what to do. Then see, as bad as the bad, UK, you will still get a cleaning or care work. Once that is in place, then you need to start looking for ways to ask around. Visit lawyers. I went to lawyers when I left. That was about a year after I had left. That was when I started thinking of, okay, how am I going to regularize my papers? And all the lawyers I went actually reprimanded me and told me I was so stupid for not calling the lawyer, for not calling the authorities when I was pregnant and I started going through this domestic violence case. So, like it's been said earlier, information is key. You need to speak out. You need to speak out. You need to gravitate towards what you intend for yourself. If you want to start regularizing your paper, but don't clam up. You have to sort out for information. It's still the same thing. You have to sort out for information. The more you speak out, the more you try and move around with people, the more clarity and the more information will come to you. Before I finally got my papers, I got rejected 3 times by the Home Office. They even wrote a letter to me and my son that we should leave the country. But I was like, you people are jokers. I didn't leave. You see, for every rejection I got, I still went back to the lawyers. And I was like, what is the implication? You know, the last lawyer that handled my case actually dragged it with the Home Office for about 3 or 4 years. So by the time my son was 9, the guy said, I'm not dragging anything again. Now they can't do anything to you. Once it will be 10 soon. So you have to be intentional about every step you take. And you have to speak up. You move with it with your own. Some people will say, I don't want to roll with Niger. Don't roll with Niger. It's Oyinbo that will come and tell you how you will get your papers. You have to move with your own. Because if you're at work, are you going to tell an Oyinbo man that you're illegal? You're using somebody's paper? Move with your own, but open your eyes. You will know who. Your mind will tell you who to trust and how to go. The lawyer that finally filed my papers, it was a Nigerian sister that I asked, and she told me, go to XYZ. So move with your own kind. Just be intentional about the people you move with. And please, another point that I was going to mention earlier about domestic violence. Nobody is responsible for your happiness. Some people would think that once they get married, the guy is responsible. No, he's not responsible. You are responsible. So that has to be factored into place. Move, pray, and work towards it and be intentional. That intentional, I can't overemphasize it. You have to know what you want for yourself. Even before I got my papers, I knew what I wanted to do. And as soon as I got my papers, within a month, I went for the job I aimed at. I went for I didn't even go for formal training. I just asked friends who were into it. They trained me and I went straight for it. So you have to be intentional every step of the way. That's my tip.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I could see you're busy out there, but then you still try to do this for us. Thank you very much for helping save lives. Everyone on this platform, we are here. Even those listening, those viewers watching, listening attentively, you're listening to this because you're going to be helping someone. You know, you never know when you need this information, or even someone who needs that information that you need to tell. Oh, I learned this from here that you can do this. So thank you very much for being here to help someone to save a life. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a safety plan, and have a safety plan. Plan your exits. You know, you can see all of that information. There's so much. It's just about checking online for information, and it will, like the one I'm checking here is verywellmind.com. You know, talks about different things, all the safety plans you need to do, what you need to start thinking about, what to do next, what not to do. You know, it's all there online. It's just for us to take that step, that bold step. Don't depend solely on one human being for everything. That is where it goes wrong. By the time one person is like your sole go-to, everything revolves around them, you put yourself in a very difficult situation. So like B said, you know when to call the police, know when to involve the authorities, know when to make your own research so that you are not left in the dark. So thank you very much, viewers, for listening. Thank you very much, Creative Becky. Thank you, the Adeyanju Egbeyemi. Thank you, Helen Gregor. Thank you, Hargest. Thank you very much to Yemisi, Ola Onilenla. Thank you very much to Abidemi Balogun for joining in. Thank you, Abi Oluboyo. Thank you very much for coming online to share your thoughts. Thank you very much, Temitayo Afini. And thank you, T. Thank you, Ola. Thank you, Auntie Ola. Thank you, Auntie Pat. Thank you, B. And I thank myself also. Thank you very much. Thank God. Thank God for giving us that grace to do this. So and for those listening, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you again for being here to listen. And we wrap up, we say, enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend, enjoy the holiday. Please leave LEAVE to LIVE. LEAVE to LIVE. A word is enough for the wise. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone, and God bless. Bye. Bye.